Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop got dropped out the ring last night.
I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Rhonda. Let's hit me up.
You see what telling me this? You've got a face for radio.
Got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello and welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast, and we're back here for another roundtable. Remember, if you want to hit us up during the live show, we're on facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat, and the same for Twitter at Martial Arts Chat as well. Before I introduce tonight's panel, first a shout out to our sponsors, A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers. So local and national gyms in the UK, do yourself a favour and go check out a1fightgear.co.uk. We're also sponsored by Beast Gear, so if you want to get back into shape, or it's new year, new me and all that, and you want to check out some of their stuff, they've got core sliders, straps and barbell pads, complete strength and conditioning programs, all to suit your needs. Go to beastgear.co.uk and use the coupon code MartialArtsChat. You can save 15% off your purchases there. So to tonight's panel, you've no doubt heard him somewhere on the MMA podcasting world, and it's a delight to have him back on the show. He's from the Loudmouth Network. It's Mr. Kyle Steele. Kyle, how you doing, my friend? Don't tell me Kyle's hit that mute button again. He's a professional for that background noise, but Kyle, we can't hear you.
I know. I do it every time, man. It'll only happen the one time to start it off. Once I do it once, I figure it out. Hopefully, that's the professionionalism. I'm drinking a Dos Equis. I figured since it's 7:30 your guys' time, then I should be drinking. So why not? I popped a Dos Equis. Let's do this.
I really play up to the Scottish stereotype of everyone drinks, but hey ho, I'm not going to hate on that at all. Good to have you on, mate. Returning to the show. Also delighted to have him back, second time in a row now. Nature of MMA. It's Mr. Mathew Penny. Mathew, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing really good, mate. I enjoyed UFC 220. It was a good event. And I also like talking about my favourite subject, Conor McGregor. So it should be a good night.
That's it, mate. And finally, another fellow Brit, Kyle. We're outnumbering you in this one today, mate. We've got my favourite. It's G from the MMA Show. G, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, John. It's good to be back on the Martial Arts Chat podcast, and it's always informative and entertaining. So thank you for having me back on.
Good to have you, mate. Gentlemen, a lot to get into this week, particularly with some big fight announcements for later in 2018. But first, let's give some brief reaction to the two big fights that took place at the weekend, UFC 220. The first being the light heavyweight title. So DC defends or regains, however you want to look at it. But he defeated Volkan Ozdemir in pretty convincing fashion. So let's start with Kyle on this one. Kyle, was this everything you sort of expected from this contest, mate?
No, certainly not the Francis fight. I mean, and I wouldn't say it's not that it's not what I expected. It's what I expected if he couldn't get the knockout, and he couldn't, and I guess it happened. I just thought he would. I have been chewing aboard the Francis Ngannou hype train for a little while now, and guess what? I'm still chugging along. You guys can jump off if you want. I am still chugging along. I think he will be perfectly fine. I imagine he learned quite a bit from this fight. He seems like a smart guy. I would like to see him get an actual camp and get an actual gym. The mistakes that his corner made, with not icing him in between rounds, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, I don't think. But that's just inexcusable. It's inexcusable. It doesn't make any sense, and it means that they're not ready for the big stage. So I think I would like to see him maybe work with some different camps here. But yeah, and then with Ozdemir, you could say with both of these fights that basically it was the universe writing itself.
Right.
Ozdemir was supposed to lose. Francis was supposed to lose. Neither of those guys had any business being in the fights that they were in the first place. They rose through their prospective divisions so quickly because both of those divisions lack a lot of depth. Who else was going to fight Cormier besides Ozdemir? Who else was going to fight Stipe?
It's true.
Besides Francis? Yeah. The divisions are extremely shallow. But nevertheless, they rose a little too quick. They got a little big for the britches, and They both lost soundly. They both soundly lost, and I guess that was the universe kind of writing itself.
Yeah, and that's good, the beauty of MMA and why guys like us love it so much. You know, it's very much not in the script. You know what I mean? It's so much just open to who knows what the hell can happen, and it's probably one of the reasons why I don't like betting on the sport as well, because there's just so much that...
It's a tough world, man.
Yeah, pretty much. G, how about yourself, sir? What was your reaction to DC and Stipe both regaining their titles in this pay-per-view?
Yeah, keeping on the theme of the hype train for Francis, I think I was at the platform looking to buy a ticket. I wasn't quite on it, and I thought, well, I'm not. There's an unknown there. There's an unknown about his defensive wrestling, and obviously when he's up the ground. So I sort of left my ticket on the platform. I'm not so sure. He's 23. I know he's still a young guy, 23, 24. He's only been an MMA fighter for 3 or 4 years. Now, those are two big disciplines, defensive wrestling and offensive wrestling, and also working off your back, getting up and essentially or submitting. Now, can he learn those to the level of an elite MMA fighter in the heavyweight division? When you've got people like Cain Velasquez still around, you've got people like Stipe, you've got another elite wrestler entering the UFC's had one fight, Arjun Singh Bulla. He's I think a former Olympic wrestler and a Commonwealth gold medalist in 2010 in India. So if that's his weakness, which obviously it is, can he come back in a year, 2 years to actually make some real headway? I'm not so sure. So I'm still on the side of, if he doesn't knock you out, then if you're a good wrestler, a good grappler, you're probably going to wear him out, which is what Stipe did. And also, is he going to be a guy like Anthony Johnson, who obviously could knock you out just by looking at you sometimes? But if he got tired, his cardio went. If you got him on the ground, like DC showed a couple of times and Koscheck before that, and a few others, then, once you get past these knockout blows, you're pretty much guaranteed to win the fight. Going on to DC did what DC does. He gets you up against the cage, roughs you up, grapples you, gets you tied. I think Volkan knew his best shot was the first 3 minutes, punch. If he knocks him out, then obviously he's champion. But as DC showed, his head is harder than 20 coconuts put together. And because he took the punches from Anthony Johnson in the first fight when he actually got knocked down, came back up. So DC, I think, like you were saying, retained, whatever. DC felt this was an open championship, i.e. no one had the belt because he lost to John Jones. He said that all week in the build-up, that I lost to John Jones. I'm not really the champion. So he saw it as, I'm actually the new UFC light heavyweight champion. But he kept him in good stead, kept his mind right, didn't get overconfident. Because let's really be honest, there was a class difference. But DC didn't underestimate him, and as Francis said, he underestimated Stipe.
Yeah, you're probably quite right in both of those assessments. I mean, I look at that DC, sort of downplaying the regaining of the title, that sort of mindset he got himself in, and I'm also just curious if maybe he has to do that. Not that he needs to give himself extra motivation. I don't want to say that, but it's like maybe he needs to put himself in that mindset of always wanting to be the challenger. It might make him more hungry, give him more
Staying
desire.
hungry.
Yeah, possibly.